Hi everybody, welcome to SIGA WoW, the show dedicated to female leadership in sport. It's the first time that we've done this with a live audience. It was a show that we came up with during lockdown from the confines of a spare bedroom of mine, but it's all designed to promote female leadership, to celebrate those female leaders that have broken the glass ceilings. I'm here with some very special guests. We've got watch out for the gift giveaway question. This is live, it's interactive, grab yourself a drink, recharge your drinks throughout, it's not static, and I hope you enjoy it, and we will take questions. Just finally, before I really start, thank you to MasterCard for sponsoring the SIGA WoW Lounge today, and a big thank you to Lauren Hamlin for bringing the Under Armour t-shirts all the way from the US and in the luggage, and we have put them on the WoW logo on. So I'm going to kick off. We just stop that music for a second. We're going to crack on anyway, music or no music. It's now time to WoW. And I'm going to start with you, Kate, because you were one of my first guests for the first episode. Yeah, you were. Well, you and Catherine Bonmuir were the first guests for the SIGA WoW last year, where we shined a light on your fantastic career spanning over 20 years, may I say it, in motorsports. Can you give us a flavour of your career journey and how you broke the mould as one of the few women working in motorsport? And we're going to share the mic.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure I've broken any moulds along the way, but yeah, it was fun. It was fun doing that. I got into sport completely by accident, and I'm guessing that quite a lot of people here did. There was no route or plan to it. I originally qualified as a lawyer and ended up with a client who went and bought a Formula One team. That was 25 years ago. And ever since then, I've been primarily involved in Formula One, moving from a legal role, originally a lawyer, to a commercial role, mainly most of my career with a boss called Bernie Eccleston, which made my life really interesting. He was a great man, a great mentor as well. And eventually I ended up, when Liberty came in and bought Formula One, becoming a director of Formula One and running the global hospitality business, which was a business I absolutely love. I love that business, I loved working in it. I left a year ago to set up on my own. And I've got my own advisory now, and I help brands and investors and stakeholders navigate their way into Formula One. It's a complex sport. Most sports have their own way of working, and they're complicated. You don't know what you don't know. So I act as the little tugboat taking big liners of money into harbours. That's kind of what I do now.
So you're carrying the money bag. You shouldn't have told me that. This year, significantly, you announced your involvement in the More Than Equal project. I know you wear the bracelet night and day. Can you share this trailblazing initiative with us? And do you think could you just share it with us?
This is a project I absolutely love. It's called More Than Equal. And it is 46 years since a woman took part in a Formula One race. Formula One is open to men and women, and the fact that there are no women in the top flight of motorsport isn't even commented upon these days. Nobody even mentions that it's odd. But it is odd, and it's unacceptable, and it's 46 years. That tells you a story. It tells you that there is something systematically wrong in the sport that is meaning that's not happening. So together with my good friend David Coulthard and his good friend Karol Komorek, who is a very successful Czech businessman who put a lot of money into a foundation, and we've set ourselves 8 to 10 years to develop motorsport at the grassroots and to find a talented female and put her on the podium in Formula One in the next 8 to 10 years. And I absolutely love this project. It relies on getting 1 million girls going karting, right? And that's what we need to do. We talked about it a lot in some of the sessions I've been involved in, but it's all about grassroots. In order to find real talent, you need to fill that funnel. So that's what we're going to do. It's a big, big project. I have a whole load of these wristbands here in my bag, and I will give one to anyone who wants to give it to a young girl they know and inspire them to get off that My Little Pony and get into a cart. So come and see me.
From My Little Pony to a racing car. I love it, and breaking stigmas. And we will all take a bracelet and give it to somebody that could use it. In motorsport, I want to ask Hayley, because TCS sponsors several motor racing teams. From a sponsor's perspective, what is your perspective on the More Than Equal project, and what do you think the impact will be?
Yeah, so TCS sponsors the Jaguar TCS racing team and TCS Nakajima Racing in Japan, and I am fairly new to motorsport, right? So my whole history has been in running, endurance, marathons, that whole space. So my experience going to Formula E events this year and going into the garage and seeing a very homogenous crowd of people was pretty shocking. So I am really excited for the More Than Equal project, and from our conversations, Kate, I really love the approach of building the foundation, doing the research, getting the data. I think we heard from Jessica Berman earlier today, facts not feelings. I'm going to steal that. She stole that from someone. I'm going to steal it from her. So the foundation being set there to lay the groundwork, because a sponsor or someone could solve the problem and throw a lot of money at it, but it's not solving it systemically. And then I was just reading an article about Jamie Chadwick, right? And she's finishing up her 3rd season, and she has no avenues. There's nowhere for her to go. She's going to end her career at 24, probably. And that is really depressing fact. So I am, as a sponsor. So I'm really excited about it.
Fantastic. And you mentioned about the power of the brands that can change the narrative. And from a brand's perspective, would Under Armour be interested in getting involved? That's a bit of an unfair question. But, you know, from a brand's perspective, from Under Armour, you know, what makes Under Armour different to your competitors? And obviously you lead a big female innovation piece. And how do you bring that to drive the brand forward to ultimately impact young women and girls to stay in sport?
Yeah, so, well, I mean, I think anyone who knows the story of Under Armour, we were born in American football. Our CEO and founder, Kevin Plank, was a walk-on football special teams player at University of Maryland, go Terps. And he had a problem that he looked to solve. So everything we do is looking to solve an athlete's problem. He would sweat out his cotton shirts under his football pads, so he got in his car, went to New York, went to the fashion district, ended up finding lingerie fabric, had LMA, who was employee number 3. She's still there. I have the pleasure of sitting next to her. She sewed it for him, and then he just really, you know, you talk about grassroots. He gave it to players on either side of him in the locker room, and then went from there, and we signed our first school, which was Georgia Tech. So as for how we're different, obviously I'm biased since I lead open innovation, but lots of brands and our competitors sort of say that they're doing open innovation, but they're really not. They're looking, you know, they're buying patent portfolios, and that's fine. That's a perfect strategy. But I feel like we're small enough and agile enough that we can give opportunities to those entrepreneurs who, if they were to go to, you know, one of my competitors and they didn't have IP, or if they did have IP, then they'd be like, sure, I'll buy your patent, and then that would be the end of it. So it's sort of the gold standard that I always tell is the mag zip. So this was a zipper concept that came from someone whose uncle has muscular dystrophy and only has a use of one arm. He wanted to be able to put his jacket on himself. So, and then Kevin Plank happened to find it, and then he came in, we were talking about it. He's like, yeah, can we do this? Can we do this in spring of next year? I'm like, no, we can't, because it was big and huge. So we had our engineers work on it. Long story short, it went out on 400,000 units. And then I started getting letters from parents of kids who have disability and saying, this is the first time that my daughter was able to go out to recess and put her jacket on her own. Or, so I know it's been a while, but I still get, that's like, I really do, because to me, that's true innovation. Had that been through another brand, I don't know that, and he still retains his patent rights. I mean, we hold them within the sports space, but he could go sell it to, you know, I think he's in talks with Jeep for doing like tire covers, all kinds of things. So I think really that commitment to entrepreneurship is in our DNA. because of our founder. So, just giving anyone who has an idea of how to make athletes better a voice on how to do that.
We have a gift giveaway question, and I'm going to ask Lauren for the gift giveaway question. Obviously, the gift is this SIGA WoW T-shirt, and it is below the threshold for our good governance policies, may I add. Lauren, what's the gift giveaway question? And first person to get it right in the audience wins the T-shirt.
All right. Let's see who's paying attention today after lunch. So earlier I talked about a new footwear concept that we came out that is specifically based on women's biomechanics. So it's the name of that shoe: A, Artemis, B, Allegra, or C, Althea.
Anybody? It feels like, yes, go ahead. Yeah, you can play. You can play if you'd like to win a women's shirt. But I know you've got a daughter you could give it to. Go on. No, you got it wrong. Denzine. Yes, Althea's right. Answer C. Yes. It goes. The women's WoW shirt goes to Denzine for whoever he wishes to. Round of applause for Denzine. Thank you. We're getting, just because of the sound and it's being recorded, Emmanuel said that it will look good on Denzine. Reem, I'm going to turn to you. You're the athlete come journalist. You moderated your first panel today. Congratulations. You smashed it. I can see a future career in that for you. Can you, when you hear that the More Than Equal project is about getting the first female Formula One champion, I mean, that just seems, astounding that we, since how many years? 47 years? 46 years. Whilst you were a sports journalist, previously you were an athlete, can you share your athlete credentials and how has that helped your journalism?
Okay, now I'm a sports journalist. I have to make sure I say this because my boss sometimes doesn't like it. I'm a sports journalist who was a former two-time Olympian before, an Olympic coach. I worked with a few different teams worldwide, but I was with the United States Synchro organization for like 10 years, and that was a completely different culture than where I had come from, which is Egypt, the other side of the world, and that's where I had started my career as an artistic swimmer. It used to be called synchronized swimming, by the way, in case I keep switching between the two of them. And the culture changes from being an athlete and having certain, not rights, but norms and traditions, and then hopping over to another country and seeing a whole new world and how they do things differently and so on. And especially in the US, where you can have opportunities that you would say never. In other cultures where this would never happen, and I saw a lot of the nevers actually happen in the US. But I've been in a few different countries, and the very last team I've worked with was the South African duet, and they had qualified for the Olympic Games for the first time since 1992, and I was coaching them there in South Africa, and the athletes were. They had this extra belief that they were going to make it to Tokyo without the full support of their federation. And I knew we were dealing with a federation that was very new to the idea that they had to worry about spending extra money on an artistic swimming duet, not even a team, like two individuals, and myself as a coach as well. And they were like, no, we're not going to wait. We're just going to advertise ourselves, tell our story, because this is incredible. We're making history. We're doing all these new things. You've come from the other side of the world. You've been with the United States, artistic swimming team, so why not? And they started putting this into practice, and, their relatives started talking to someone else, and then someone else from outside of South Africa started getting involved. And at the end, the federation was able to actually, help as well, and we all traveled to Tokyo and was able to show. And I think that's the perfect example of how can we make sure the female inclusion or exposure is happening is not by waiting and saying, well, we should rely on media outlets being more, listening to our story and coming to us. No, we're good enough. We just have to get our story out there sometimes and meet people halfway, We have something special, bring it out, And then you come, meet us halfway and we make it work. So yeah, that's...
You mentioned two powerful words, which is why not? And I think why not does lead to innovation. Can anyone comment on that?
The strapline for More Than Equal that I wanted to have was why with a swear word not. Because it's real. It's urgent. It's urgent, and I think we can all, why not? Why not today? If not you, who? It's all of those kind of aphorisms that you need to convey the urgency of this. We just need to get on with it. And like you say, saying that women's sports is not on television because nobody watches it. I mean, I can give you, look at the Euros. That's ridiculous. Put it on television and see who watches it. And women will watch it, and people will watch it. My 93-year-old father was cheering on the Euros, and he is hardly the target audience. But, so I'm with you. I think we should take a step, put it on television, and see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I think particularly in the States, it is changing, not quickly enough, but I have a 24-year-old daughter, and I was telling her about this trip. She's like, wait, so you're going to Portugal because you're a woman in sports? Like, she was, like, she did not get, which is because she's my daughter, but she's grown up never thinking ever that she couldn't do whatever she wanted to do. My son's the same way. And so I think it's, once you start at that level, and I keep going back to youth sports and access to youth sports, and I thought Jessica made a great point earlier that it's not just, I was talking about men as allies, young boys, addressing that early on instead of then having to sort of circumvent that behavior, that learned behavior, just have that early on, so then maybe all of the youth will just be like, well, why are we looking at different genders in different ways,
Anyone else on why not? Or why the bleep not?
I think my why not came about with talking with different races and understanding why they are not measuring sustainable behavior, right? And so that led to a whole innovation project for the Council for Responsible Sport. And because we said, why aren't you doing this? And we don't have a tool. We can't scale. We can't automate. It's not easy for sports organizations to go through this process. Like, well, you know what? You know a company that specializes in digital transformation. That's us. Let's do this. And then we found the pro bono team, and then they didn't know what they were signing up for. But then they kept going because they saw the value and the impact it's had internally for morale, for that team to work on that project and bring it to life, and then see how it's really affecting change in a meaningful way. That's my why not.
Thank you. We talked about male champions. It's a sort of a term that's been made a lot. David Coulthard, to spur us something like this, Kate, for the next generation of female champions to come forward. How important is that and the impact? And what has been the reaction from other men that you've presented the More Than Equal to?
That's a very interesting question. I'll tell you, the reaction that has really surprised me is the reaction I've had from a lot of men, which is that I'm a father, and I'm angry if I think that there is something my daughter might want to do that she is being stopped from doing, or that she is structurally prevented from succeeding in. As a father, that makes me furious. So, men are absolutely allies in this. And apart from the fact they can stop putting their daughters on ponies and put them in carts. There you go. Those are my allies.
Anyone else on male champions? I think David over there from AS, another plug for our global media partner who's been covering the whole event. So thank you. You've got a male champion because David introduced me to you. Yes. So do you want to say a few words about male champions and how they've helped you in your career?
No, I think earlier you were actually who started the conversation about male allies, and it might have been, I don't know, but earlier I was thinking about this because almost always throughout my life there was a male champion who made things not possible for me, but for some reason the support coming from my brother or back in the day, my father or my boss, maybe, or, you know, my husband, it makes me believe a little bit more. And it's not because they're better or they're worse or whatever. It's just because there's this extra, maybe, support that doesn't sit the same, you know, when you're speaking to a supportive woman or a group of women. And so I think it's so important to, if you have that, to not reject it and not disrespect it, but rather be open to it, you know? Yeah, why not?
We're at Nova School of Business in Cascais, which is a fantastic place for young people. What is your one piece of advice to future female leaders in the industry? I'm going to start with Hayley and work our way down.
My one piece of advice, my advice to everyone is to be curious and be hungry and take the opportunities when you have them. But you also have to make the opportunities as well, right? I think there's that talk of you have the story, you were just saying, have the story, you're going out there, but someone else also sometimes has to meet you halfway. So help find those champions and keep going. And you don't know where your career is going to take you. I think I went to school at Boston University, I studied public relations. I knew that I was not going to work in public relations almost immediately. It just wasn't my cup of tea. And I kind of fell into sports. My second job was working at the TCS New York City Marathon, then the New York City Marathon. And I fell in love. I fell in love with running, and now here we are 18 years later. So sometimes you just got to get on a bus and move to New York and figure it out. So.
I think Hayley and I were having a conversation earlier about not being, I didn't come from the sports world either. I'm a paralegal. I worked in publishing prior to that. So I think being flexible and being open to change, which is a really tough thing for most of us to do, right? No one really likes change. But same kind of thing. I never would have expected I would be leading open innovation for Under Armour when I was interviewing with big law firms to be a paralegal. I really thought my path was set. I was going to do that. I was standing on a lacrosse field at my son's lacrosse game, someone from Under Armour who still is with the brand said, well, we're getting ready to open the innovation lab. We need someone with IP expertise. Do you want to do it? I'm like, yes, I do. So you just have to listen. You have to be open to opportunities, and you have to be willing to, don't think you're set in stone what your life is going to bring, because you don't know until you're in that moment.
I can vouch for that. Kate, your one piece of advice, I think, with all your experience, you could give us a million pieces of advice.
Don't worry if you fuck up. I think it's my piece of advice on that, because, we do it, and we do it all the time. I think, I don't want to battle of the sexes this or anything, but generally my experience is that men cope with their own fuck-ups better than women do. And I think it's about time that we kind of dealt with them better, got over them, got up, and carried on. And I think that would, that would help.
I'm going to summarise that as owning it. Yes. Love that. Reem, do you have one?
I was told twice since we've come here to Portugal to not back down. And because maybe my approach or my body language wasn't like, I'm here, I'm clear, I'm owning whatever I'm doing. And so I think that would be my advice. Like, if you know you have something that's special, or you have something that you can, give or provide or even just be, then don't be afraid of being that 100%, which is owning it at the end.
Yeah, be your authentic self. Thank you very much. We're going to go straight into the second part of the show. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Reem, and thank you, Hayley. It's been awesome. We're going to crack on. Grab yourselves a drink. Get another glass of wine, beer, courtesy of our drink supplier, Cervejas y Bebidas. Probably butchered that expression, but Nuno will tell me later. And if I could invite our other speakers to the stage, we've got Ms. Lane, Helena, Fernanda, and Ines. So we're going to crack on. I hope you've got yourselves a drink. Our next guests, I should be speaking in Portuguese as they've pointed out to me. So sorry about that. But 3 of them are from Portugal and 1's from Brazil. Three of them, Ms. Lane, Helena and Fernanda, work in senior leadership positions in professional men's football. So I want you to just maybe introduce yourself and explain your roles. I think that would be great, starting with Helena.
Okay. Thank you, first of all. It's a pleasure to be here. So yes, I'm a woman in the professional football, men's football, but I'm in the league since 2000, and of course I growing with the football. I take the master to be able to take step by step the place that I have today. Right now I'm the executive director responsible for the competitions matters. So everything that you can say, during the weekend matches, of course, passes through me. It's a very important charge. It's a challenge, but of course it is a very big challenge. I think that perhaps persons ask a woman leading the competitions. It's okay. I think it is not a big deal. I think that what it matters is the skills that we have, the dedication that we put in our work, and I don't feel bad in a world of men. Right now we have more women in the professional football, referees, delegates, dirigents, persons. So I think that it is not important if we are women or men. I think that it is not applicable only in football, in life, in other professions. I think it is not the case. What it really matters is what you do, what you work, and this is who I am right now, working hard in the professional football, but I like it, and I don't see myself doing anything else.
So meritocracy, to be treated, as equals, and it's about what impact you have. Fernanda, you're one of our global mentors. I'm delighted that you're here from the Azores. We've only met online, as I've met everybody else here online. Can you tell me about your role in football from an island perspective?
I'm recently in football, actually. Last year they invited me to be part of the team, a new team. And they invite me because they want to change the paradigm of football in São Miguel, this island that I live. And because they want to have more women in football, like the association that São Miguel Football Association have 7 years. And this is the first team who have 2 women in the direction, so it needs to change something. And then they invite me because of that, because I used to run, probably. I used to be an athlete. I used to do 100 hurdles, and I was a national champion. I go to the national team. I go to the college. I graduated as a nurse. I was president of São Miguel Athletics Association, and they invite me even in the middle of the pandemic, and I am a nurse. So like at that time, nurses are a national hero, so I have all that they need. They invite me because they want to change that. So here I am for that.
Fantastic. We've got a real life hero here. Amazing. I think everyone's a hero on this panel as well, and the previous panel. Ms. Lane, you asked me to speak slowly, so yes, so I will do. Can you just tell us your role at Sao Paulista Football Federation?
Good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I want to thank you, Emmanuel and Kate, for invitation. It is a pleasure it's here. And my apologies because my English isn't good, but I will try. And I am graduating lawyer today. And today I am in federation about 80 years. today I am a vice president in federation. I work with a lot of men in the most the time, but for me it's a patient and a challenging same. But I love my life, my work, and my job, and my colleagues. And stay here is a challenge too. But I think this is.
Yeah, I noticed that you're probably one of the few women working in the federation, do you think, as women? One of the minority, would you say?
In federation, there are a lot of women, Our president, Reinaldo, did good things about this. In our statute, there are rules about this, and this obligation. There are women on board. And today, there are 3 directors on board, and I think there are 1 to 5 or 6 men. It's 6 men. It's a good, and the board it's that, but in other classes is more than in boards.
That's encouraging to hear. There's a male champion there. Thank you to your president. Ines, I love the way you describe your profile. You describe yourselves as the person with the most ideas per inch and a believer that less is more. Tell me about your philosophy.
First of all, it's very easy. So, less is more happened in my life when I discovered the social entrepreneurship. I'm not a woman in the sports, but I use the sports for the tool, for the make some change in our society. So when I went to the university and discovered the social entrepreneurship, I discovered what is less is more. We need to do a lot of big social positive impact change with a few resources. So we don't have a lot of resource, and we need to scale up our project. So in the last 8 years, I co-lead a project in Portugal. The name is Transformers Movement, and we scale up for all the cities in Portugal. And it's a methodology when we have volunteers, mentors to share their own talents, sports and arts with unprivileged kids in shelters, prisons, unprivileged neighborhoods. So, and we scale up this without research. So I believe the less is more, because in the social entrepreneurship you don't have this. And at Girl Move Academy, it's when I work in the last year. It's academy for female leadership in Mozambique. I don't know if you want, but in Mozambique only 1% of the women go to the university. So we work with this 1%, with the role models and a lot of mentorship and leadership models. And in Mozambique, less is more important than in Portugal and Europe. So it's like my mission. It's proof when we have less, we have to be more creative and create more opportunities with the resource than we have.
I just love that. Thank you so much for explaining it. And I didn't know that stat about the 1%. So yes, good luck in making less into more. What do you think the biggest challenges are for women carving out a career in the sports industry? Especially, you've been specifically placed there to grow women, to increase women's participation and increase female leadership in sport. What are the biggest challenges?
I will say what was for me more difficult in the beginning when I became in football, because I never feel this in athletics, because like you are on your own and you have the opportunity as a woman. But when I get to football, I feel like a bibelot, and I don't know. Probably, I don't know if it's a Portuguese word even, and I don't know if it probably is an English word, but a bibelot is like some object that is beautiful, that you use from decoration, but it's not useful for anything. So, like when I arrive for football, it's like I have all the immediate that they want, because I am a woman, I'm born in the Azores in the middle of an island. I was a good athlete, I was a national champion, I go to the national team, I was the president of the association, I graduated, so it's like I have everything, but they don't expect me to do, like they expect me to do woman things, stay still, like be there. And I have sure that they don't make this on purpose, because like I say, it's the first direction to have women, so probably they need help too. And I think I don't say, but I used to run 100 hurdles, so probably they invite me because they know I know how to jump some barriers, and they know I can help them. And it's even in the beginning it's difficult for me. I think it's very important, and I feel very satisfied to have that team.
Have you been asked to make the tea yet, or take the notes and all of that? That also happens. What is your call to action to young women who are watching in from the audience, both online and in the audience? What would you recommend for them?
So I have a very good experience in the football, professional football. What I will say, that what we need, and I began from, I was just a little person in the league, Emmanuel knows me, I worked with him, and I was nothing, but I think that what we need to get here is to work very hard. We need also to be a credible person, be very professional, never take the same two different decisions in the same situation. It works with us. We have to be very coherent when we take the decisions. And for me, for the experience that I have in the professional football, it's work hard, because what I would tell to you, I never feel bad in football, never. I was welcome, and I don't think that they expected me to grow as I grow. I don't know, but I think it is. Yes, you believe in me. Yes, thank you. But the real word is work hard. This is the only way to get where you want. Because I have to study, because I became from a different area. I became from the tourism, so I take a degree, I study to get here. And if you tell me what is my home, is the Portuguese League. This is my home, my first home. I love what I do. I have a family that respects what is my work, because it is the only way to be happy. That's my life, is how I live. This is me, different perhaps, I don't know, but I don't imagine myself doing anything else, because I love what I do. I think that I do it well for now. But this is the thing. Work very hard. If you want to go to some place, if you expect to be someone, work very hard. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Someone's saying cheers in the background there. Fantastic. Cheers to everybody. Hard work. There's no cutting that out. Anyone got any questions for our guests? Or are we going to all have a drink? Any questions? Mary Davis has got a question from Yale.
I think a large part of the resurgence in interest in Formula One has come from the Netflix series that was done. And the Netflix series tells a story about the participants. So it's not about man wins race and soon to be woman wins race, if I have anything to do with it. But, you know, that's not what was compelling about the sport, about that series. What they very cleverly did was they brought out the human drama and the personalities. And I think that has led to a huge interest. It's cracked the US market for sure, which has been, you know, dramatically changed the fortunes of Formula One in terms of its fan base. But interestingly, it's broadened its fan base. So we now have a younger audience because they watch a lot of Netflix. We have a female audience because, you know, who doesn't love a good drama anyway? And I think that's where it came from. So I think the initiative that I'm doing to put a female on the podium there, you know, my old boss Bernie used to say to me, you know, good deals are 80% timing. He usually said that after I'd just done a good deal, so it was kind of his way of saying thank you in a roundabout way. But, you know, it's 80% timing, and I think that's where we are now with this, and that's why this project is going to succeed. So I think it's a lesson for all sports. You've got to tell the story behind the pure competition.
I don't think for our sport there was ever emphasis on the fashion part and interest in what we were, you know, the swimsuits and the embezzlements and all that stuff. But actually, this is going to go perfectly with the male allies that we were talking about. As soon as the sport started having more male additions, and now it's very much like male and female, we started getting more attention. And obviously the first thing that you have when you're swimming a male and a female together is all the other stuff that you have, right? Like how are they dressing? What's the theme? What's the story? What's the music? And it's, for so long there has been amazing creations and extremely creative swimsuits that go perfectly well with, you know, whatever you're trying to say and whatever you're trying to perform. But interestingly enough, it started really getting out there after male swimmers started being involved more and more. Yeah, so.
Those are one of the moments where you don't know where to begin, because so many things come to my mind, so many things I feel I must say in an official capacity, but also as a human being who has feelings, blood on his veins, and cannot miss this opportunity to express what's inside. A lot has been said about this pandemic, and a lot needs to be reminded of the struggle, of the strive, of the persistence, of the effort, of the belief, of the hard work that has been done over these past 2 years. Yes, we will have a big day tomorrow. We will have many important things to discuss. But today is the day, because today is WOW's Day. It's Wednesday. It is Women on Wednesday. So you will understand why I must take my hat off to Katie, who is the face of the SIGA Women and WOW. We all know her kitchen. we have seen on our screens, and the passion and the commitment and the professionalism that she puts behind everything she does. Katie, this WOW is yours. It's your creation. It is your hard labor. But the good thing is, look to what you have done, because you have a number of female leaders who not only support you in the quest for good governance and female leadership, they are acting as a united front, as a team that is committed to win. And the men who are here also have a role to play. And we are not behind, not in front, but by your side. In you, I want also to congratulate and praise every woman, every female leader who has been with us since the first moment. Those who have high responsibilities at the SIGA Council, and how much they have inspired me, how much the stories of life have motivated me, their ability to overcome obstacles, to run the extra mile, to achieve the unachievable, to do the unimaginable. Their success inspires me and inspires many other people and many other young women who deserve also to see the day when they too can pierce the gender glass ceiling. So to all of you, goes my heartfelt tribute. Without you, SIGA cannot have a future. Without you, SIGA cannot deliver its mission. So we count on you, and those that, through you, inspired by you, will increase our ranks. And that is a call for action that I would not like to seize or to omit in this moment. I would like also to express a special word of recognition to other people who are in this room, who have not taken the floor, who have not yet shared the amazing career that they have built with the difficulties that comes with it. And I would like to focus on Joana. Joana Gonçalves. What a woman. What a generosity. What a support she has been throughout all this process. Joana and her colleagues at the Portuguese Olympic Committee deserve nothing but the strongest applause. And Joana, for those who may not know, is a woman who has been president of the Portuguese Hockey Federation. And that is not a small feat. And a country that is male-dominated, and a country that has, according to my understanding, only 2 women serving at the highest level of sports structures, that means a lot. I also would like to pay tribute to Julia, who is the CEO of a Premier League club in this country. Your responsibilities that you exert now, your role, are not a reward, but they are an incentive. They are an encouragement. They are an example that women too have a role at the helm of a club in this country. And what can I say more about the people that surround you, Katie? They are true heroes. They have done amazing things. So I stand here and I bow to everything that you have done, the inspiration that you have done. Special heartfelt word has to go to Elena, because we come a long way and we have done a lot together. And I have seen her earning inch by inch the respect, the admiration, the friendship that the whole Portuguese football tributes to her. To all of you, keep doing what you're doing. Talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues, and bring more women to center forward, yes? Center forward. Because we need you. You are committed, you are driven, you have a purpose. You focus on results. You focus on delivering objectives. We need that too, now more than ever. So thank you, and I hope I have not omitted anyone. You are all special. You are all wow. Thank you. Bar is open.
And that's a wrap for the 11th edition of SIGA WoW Women on Wednesdays, filmed in the margins of the Sport Integrity Week. It's now not time to wow, it's time to chill, relax, and have a drink, as you can see our guests have. We'll see you next time for the 12th episode.